Alright, hi everybody, Bonkai922 here. Last review of the night. It's getting late, I gotta go to bed. Damn it, I've been doing so many reviews. Alright, Accel World. Now, next week, yeah. We go back to Japan. We go back to Tokyo. We go back to Nomi. I want to say one thing before getting this review about what might happen next week. It seems like we're going to get the aftermath of the fight, and we get a scene with Chiyuri. Now, if what I'm thinking is correct about that, apparently it seems like she's thinking about something. Now, I don't know if next week's episode we're going to actually see her talking to kuroyukihime, but, we'll see. But anyway, this episode had nothing to do with that. This episode was called Revolution. It was a continuation of her helping, the guy who looks like a screw. Okay, his name is Crikin. They know each other greatly. He knows, Black Lotus, Black Knight, very much so, to a point. And apparently, they're talking and, saying, I haven't been... He basically was saying also, while they were fighting this thing, that he hasn't fought in a battle in a very long time. So, it's kind of difficult. And then finally, what happens is, they're talking back and forth and saying, a few small talk about the past and so on and so forth, and they hear this noise outside in the world, and it's the monster. Yeah, this monster is like freaking huge. He's like a freaking dragon. Are you kidding me? I mean, it was huge. I believe the name. Let me see if I can remember. Sulfur Pot. Sulfur Pot. That's who they were fighting in this episode. Forgot, he called the monster Nick, if I'm not mistaken. And apparently what happened was Nick is obviously a dragon. And that was the whole bit, skimmy on that. And I believe what happened was Nick, the dragon, is pet, and he tamed it, Sulfur Pot, and the dragon has a finishing move. I'm like, god damn, man. But anyway, what ends on happening is kuroyukihime, as Black Lotus, is gonna, delay it, just fight it. And then, Crikin's like there, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna join the fight. Eventually she tells them to leave, to run away. But, he joins in the fight. Crikin starts, the Nick starts going after him. And kuroyukihime, she did this move, this green overdrive. And it's like, everything turns green and shit. I'm like, holy shit. And it's going back and forth between her and the dragon. Crikin gets knocked through the wayside. Like, come on. Eventually, though, what happens is she's battling, and what happens is, what's their faces? That's right. What's her name? Forgot her name. I'm sorry for saying that. Oh, yeah. Ruka and, Mana. They go and find some metal. Yeah, metal. Like pieces of metal for Crikin. Now, I should say something. So basically what they do, they get these pieces of metal, and Crikin just turns into this screw, and goes straight down on the metal, and it turns into a giant robot. So here's the little thing. Da-da-da-da-da. Transformers! More than meets the eye. Transformers, robots in disguise. I have to say that because that's what it was. He looked like he belonged fucking Transformers. And he was basically this giant red robot. It was just like, oh my god. So he starts fighting Nick because what ends on happening is that he fights Nick, and it seems like, and he shoots these bullets, these like screw bullets out of his chest and everything in between, compartments, and he attacks Nick, the dragon, and shit. And it seems like he's getting him good. It's like, oh, Nick's gonna get it, the dragon. But then Sulfur Pot. Now, I mean, come on, Sulfur Pot. You get an idea what his attacks are. So what he does is, and by the way, the guy who plays Sulfur Pot, he sounds like the same guy who plays Ikaku in Bleach. Japanese voice actor, I mean. And basically, he exhumes from his hands charcoal right at Crikin, and he tells Nick to use his finishing move, the flame thing that he uses, and everything just blows up. It just explodes, and everything. And it seems like, oh shit, this is gonna get nasty. So now all that's left is Kuroyukihime, Black Lotus, to fight him. So it seems like it's at a stalemate here. Doesn't look like things are gonna go well here. So what ends on actually happening is that he gets blown away, Kuroyukihime gets blown away, everybody gets blown away by the explosion. But Megumi, yes, remember her? Well, guess what? She's a burst linker too. Go figure. I mean, I think everyone pretty much knew that she was a burst linker. You knew. So she comes into this, and she's got a weird one, Avatar. And what she did when she showed up, and she says, and she like holds off. Oh, Hime, leave it to me. And then she knew it was Megumi. It wasn't a big surprise to her at all. So what ends on happening is she activates this power where she actually changes the landscape. Yeah, she does a transition of the landscape, and everything goes from a barren desert to the ocean. And I'm like, wow. And what happened with Cricket is when he turns to the ocean, he's falling down. He's like, oh, help me. He falls down to the ground. And then what ends on happening is Lagoon Dolphin. Was it Lagoon Dolphin? Or was it... so bad with names. Lagoon Dolphin and Coral Merrill, Mana and Ruka's names, they transform into marine mode. And I'm like, that's interesting. So they transform into marine mode, and they help, Kuroyukihime to attack to Nick. And then, they're just spinning around. They're spinning it in like a typhoon. A whirlpool kind of typhoon in the water. And Kuroyukihime takes up that opportunity, because after they do that, Sulfur Pot, he gets shot out away from the dragon, from Nick, and then she just goes, uses her finisher move on the reins, because this dragon had reins on him, so he was like tamed and stuff. And once the reins were off, dragon was wild. So the dragon, and Sulfurpot's like, attack that bitch, Gator! Thinks he's gonna attack her. Nope. He passes Coral Marrow and Lagoon Dolphin and Kuroyukihime and eats Sulfurpot. And I'm like, that's just crazy. And he goes away. And that's how it ends. And we get this conversation between Kuroyukihime and Crikin. And Crikin basically gives her a gift. Gives her the I'm trying to think what it was. Oh yeah, he gives her the almost like Sword Art Online in a way. Gives her an item, and the item is actually the reins that he used for the dragon. So now she has it, and she takes it as, a token. And then she says goodbye to Crikin, and everything, and so on and so forth. And she goes through and says, to Sulphur Pot, next time we meet, so on and so forth. Because Sulphur Pot was actually not in Okinawa. He was in Tokyo. That's another thing to think about. And he was actually using remotely in Okinawa. So it was a kind of a really bullshit thing that he was doing. So that's what happened with that. And then we get a scene, obviously, where she's ready to leave. She leaves. And she's like talking to herself, saying that, Megumi doesn't remember what happened. She doesn't remember any of that. And so on and so forth. Now, she's on the bus. She's ready to leave. And they wait, her, Bana and Ruka are raving. And as she's leaving. And we get a scene with, she gets a message from Crikin saying that, you were right, it was a remote link that this guy was doing. He was actually, doing no good. He was illegally going in there from Tokyo to Okinawa. And it seems like what I think, I don't want to suggest this, but this guy, Sulphur Pot, and hopefully I'm saying that name right, I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Yeah, Sulphur Pot. Apparently, he might be part of the organization that Nomi is part of. But then again, I don't want to insinuate. I don't want to insinuate too much because it's still iffy. And then we get this conversation between Megumi and Kuroyukihime saying, she had a dream about dolphins and in the water and this black maiden. I mean, come on. She said it was a dream. Come on. Come on. Anyway, she said she was going to write it up and stuff. And then, she's trying to tickle her and stuff. And that's pretty much what happened in this episode. And that's where it ends. I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5 just because of the fact that the whole action sequences were awesome in this one. So, yeah. But next week, Chiyuri's going to have to... You gotta get... You Lucy! You know how you got... I don't want to say that, but... You got explaining to do. Well... Chiyuri's got some explaining to do. I think this is where she talks to Kuroyukihime and tells her why she did it. I'm not 100% sure, though. But I think we also get a scene with Haru. He trains? I'm not 100% certain on that, though. I believe he trains. And we're going to get the conclusion next week of the fight that happened in the last episode. 2 episodes ago. So, that's what we got. That's what we're going to get. So that one's going to be called Domination. And this one was called, obviously, Revolution. So, yeah. Transformers. Crikin. So bad for Crikin. He fell to the bottom of the ocean. He didn't do anything. He's like... And he was like, are we forgetting something? I just found that so goddamn funny. It was so hilarious. But, Transformers, more than meets the eye. Crikin, robot in disguise. I just gotta do that. Because that scene was so much like Transformers. I mean, come on. He's transforming. Come on. From a screw to a big robot. Come on. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Good episode, Accel World. Next week. Next week's going to be a clincher. I'm telling you right now, it's probably going to be really crazy. Next week's episode of Accel World. It's going to be huge. Huge. Like I said before, Chiyuri, you got some explaining to do. Lucy, you got, I love Lucy. That's funny. Sorry about that. Anyway, it's been Bonkai922. Good episode of Accel World. Next week, shit gets serious. See you guys.